Hey guys, welcome back to the QST YouTube channel. Today we will be solving the Term 1 Week 2 math quiz. Let's get right to it. The number of different ways of selecting, combining R objects from a set of N objects is denoted NCR. Which of the following is true? Okay, so for this question, they want us to know, to figure out, let's say, which one of these terms are equal to the one, you get what I mean. So let's start off with 6C4 and 6C2. Okay, on the calculator, to get 6C4, you do 6 shift divide 4. To get the C, you do shift and then divide. This will 6C4 will give us 15, while 6C2 will also give us 15. Okay, now 10C4 and 10C6. 10C4 and 10C6. Ten C4 is equal to 210, while 10C6 is also equal to 210, so it's an answer as well. Now 10C6 and 11C6. 10C6 and 11C6. Sorry for the bad handwriting. 10C6 is, as we said last question, is 210, while 11C6 is 462. So this is incorrect. Now 6C6 and 6C1. Oh my goodness. 6C6 and 6C1. 6C1 is equal to 6C6 is equal to 1, while 6C1 is equal to 6. So this is also wrong. Then now 6C4 and 4C6. 6C4 and 4C6. We just erase this. 6C4 is equal to 15, while 4C6 has a math error, so this is incorrect as well. So it's only 6C4 is equal to 6C2 and 10C4 is equal to 10C6. Number 2. What whole number is equal to 18 exclamation mark over 4 exclamation mark times 15 exclamation mark? The exclamation mark, I don't know how myself to say it, but on the calculator, to get the exclamation mark, you're gonna have to press shift and the x to the power of -1. So to do this on the calculator, oh wait, by the way, the exclamation mark is called the factorial. Okay, so 18 factorial over 4 factorial times 15 factorial. So 18 factorial over 4 factorial times 15 factorial is equal to 204. Number 3. Written in terms of factors, n plus 2 c3 is equal to n times n plus a n plus. For this question they want us to solve n plus 2 c3 in terms of factors. So the general rule for this, let's say we have n and r. ncr would be equal to factorial of n over factorial of r times factorial of n minus r, like this. A factorial, for example, is let's take 3 factorial 3 as an example. This would be equal to 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, now let's start solving. So in this question we have n plus 2 c3, which in this case would be, as we said, the general rule would be n factorial of n, which would be this at the top, over r factorial, which is 3 in this case, over n minus r. So first let's start with the numerator, which would be factorial n plus 2, which would be n plus 2 times n plus 1 times n times n minus 1 and so on. In other words, okay, wait, and then so on and so forth. And then in the denominator we would have 3 factorial times the factorial of n plus 2 minus 3, which would simplify to just n minus 1. Now look here, from n minus 1 onward, that would be basically n minus 1 factorial, right? So let's say 2 factorial is equal to 2 times 1, am I right? So it's basically like, to simplify, we will just put a factorial after the n minus 1, which would help us simplify. So in this case, we can simplify the n minus 1 factorial here and the n minus 1 factorial in the denominator, which would leave us with n plus 2 n plus 1, times n plus 1 times n over 3 factorial, which is equal to 6. Here they want b, which is the denominator, which is 6 in this case, and they want a, which is, since they gave us 2, they don't want the 2, they want 1. Number 4. Given that summation of k is equal to n plus n times n plus 1 over 2, okay, so for this question we can simply just put it in the calculator as 20. Okay, then they said k is equal to 1, which in the calculator would be x is equal to 1. So 2x squared minus 3x plus 2. Put this on your calculators. So you do shift log, like the log with two squares, rectangles and squares next to it. You put 20 on top of the summation. X is equal to 1. Then 2x squared minus 3x plus 2. This will give us 5150. Number 5. For this question, we're gonna use the binomial rule, which is 4x. No, I mean, well, we use it when we have a plus b to the power of n, let's say. And we will do summation. N will be the power, which would be the one at the top of the summation. Down, let's say we have a counter k, and then we would have a times n minus k. Okay, wait, before that we will have n, like nck, and then that times a to the power of n minus k times b to the power of k. Now let's start solving this question. So summation of k from 0 to, let's say, 8, because that's the power, and then 8ck, and then we will have 4x to the power of 8 minus k, and since it's meant to be plus 1 over 2, so we're gonna put times negative 1 over 2 to the power of 8. I mean k, sorry. Now we need to find k. Here they send the x cubed term, that means the power should be 3. So if k was 0, right? Okay, never mind. Look, so now since we only have 4x with like x itself, so we can just do 8 minus k is equal to 3, right? Which means k would be 5. So now let's just substitute k with 5. So now 8c5 times 4x to the power of 8 minus 5 times 1 over 2, negative 1 over 2 to the power of 5. So again, 8c5 times 4x to the power of 3. Let's just take like the coefficients since that's what they're asking for. So 4 to the power of 3 times negative 1 over 2 to the power of 5. This will give us negative 112. Number 6. Written in terms of factors n plus 1 c3. Okay. Now this is basically how we solved it also, like in question 3, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so as we said, the rule of this would be, so nc, let's say k, would be factorial of n over factorial of k times the factorial of n minus k. So let's start with the numerator first. Factorial of n plus 1 would be n plus 1 times n times n minus 1, and then times n minus 2 as well, and so on and so forth. Let me just put these in brackets. Over factorial of 3, which is 6, as we said before, and then the factorial of n minus 2 after simplifying n plus 1 minus 3. As we said before, this n minus 2 continuation is equal to n minus 2 factorial, basically, which means we can cancel this and this. So we'll have n plus 1 times n minus 1 over 6. Okay. Now for part B, they want us to solve n plus 3 c n minus 1. So n plus 3 c n minus 1. First, let's start with the numerator, which would be n plus 3 times n plus 2 times n plus 1 times n times n minus 1, and so on and so forth. Then at the bottom, they want it to be, as we said, so n plus 3 factorial n plus 3, the entire thing factorial, times n plus 3 minus n minus n minus 1 factorial. So this will basically be, we cancel n here and cancel n here. So we will have we will have 4 factorial times n plus 3 factorial. Guys, I messed up the rule. Instead of n plus 3 in the denominator, it's n minus 1. So my bad. So n minus 1. And then, as we said, the continuation of n minus 1 would be n minus 1 factorial, like over here in the numerator. So n minus 1 factorial and n minus 1 factorial cancel out. And then we have all of this over 4 factorial, which is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, which is equal to 24. Number 7. The third term in ascending powers of x in the expansion of 1 plus 4x to the power of 5. Look, now I'm gonna make a table term and k. Since here they want the third term, so let's start with 0k, that would be the first term, and then if k is 1, that would be the second term. If k was 2, that would be the third term. So k would be 3. K would be 2, my bad. So we have, as we said, the rule is 5ck, which is what we found to be 5c2 times 1 to the power of 5 minus 2 times 4x to the power of 2, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so 5c2 times 1 to the power of 3 times 4x squared, which would be 16x squared. So it would be 160x squared. By the way, when, like, let's say in this case, do not make the same mistake as I did by not distributing the squared, because without the parentheses it would be just 4x squared, but we need to square the 4 and the x to make it 16x squared. Anyways, number 8, so 0 factorial is 1. Okay, and as I said, to get the factorial you do shift plus the x to the power of -1, which will give you the factorial sign. So basically 1 plus factorial of 6, which will be 721. Number 9. Fill in the blanks with the correct numbers to make the statement below true. Okay, if 120 times 119 times 118 times 117 is equal to p factorial over q factorial, then what is p and q? Okay, first for p would be the number that we're originally starting with, factorial, which is basically, in this case, 120, since we're going backwards from 120 to 0. So it would be 120 factorial over. Now to find q, this is the tough part of the question. We need to figure out where, like, the number after it's, like, the number, basically we continued the pattern like one more time, because let's say we have 3 factorial over 2 factorial, right? So that would be 3 times 2 times 1 over 2 times 1, right? And we'll cancel 2 times 1 and 2 times 1 from up and down, so we'll have only 3 left. So it's basically the same thing. What is the number before 117? 160. Number 10. What is the value of 21 factorial over 19 factorial? For this question, just solve it on the calculator. 21 factorial over 19 factorial, which will give us, if I'm not wrong, 420. Yeah. Number 11. If 125 cn is equal to 125 c5, where n is a different integer than 5. Okay, so let's say we have 6c4, right? I mean 6c2, let's say, which is 2 after 0, right? 6c2 is equal to 6c4, which is 2 numbers before 6. Now, if you notice if you didn't notice the pattern, whatever number, like let's say we have, again, another example, 7c3 would be equal to 7c4. So the difference from k in this case, which is 3 to 0, we're just gonna do n, which is 7, minus k, 3, or in this case 125 minus 5, which would be 120. Number 12. What is the value of 10c6? Just do it on the calculator. To get the parentheses thingy like this, all we need to do is shift divide. So 10 shift divide 6 would give us 210. Number 13. If summation of c is 20, what is 10 summation of c? Come on, let's be serious, guys. It's just simply 10 times summation of c, which they gave it right here. So 10 times 20, 200. That's it. Number 14. What is the value of summation of 2? Just do 2 times the number on top. In this case, it's 100. Number 15. What is the value of summation of I 2 times 2i plus 1? Look, what I did to solve this question, I did shift log with the 2 rectangle squares around it, whatever you want to say. Okay, to get the summation, at the top I put 4. You need to put 4. Then at the bottom you put, where it shows x equals, put x equals 1, because that's what they said here. But here basically, instead of I in the question, put it x on the calculator. To get x on the calculator, you press alpha and the closing parentheses. So now you put, okay, first we need to distribute it first, or simplify to make it easier. We get 2x squared plus x. So up on top of the summation is 4, x is equal to 1, 2x squared plus x, which will give us 70. Number 16. If summation of p is equal to 25, summation of q is equal to 30, and summation of r is equal to 10, what is the value of this? For this, you simply just do p plus q minus r. That's it. You don't need to overcomplicate it or do anything else. Just 30 plus 25 minus 10, which is 45. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. We hope you guys understood the video, and we wish you guys the best of luck in your exams. Goodbye.